Throughout time, people across the world told each other tales of how they came to be, of heroes and monsters, romance and tragedy, death and rebirth. Mythology helped shape the ancient world, explaining the unexplainable. This is Mythology Unleashed. Celtic mythology has no shortage of mysterious and ethereal women, capable of magical wonders, from the Lady of the Lake of Arthurian legend to the Morrigan of the Ulster Cycle. Appearing in the tales from the Mabinogion of Welsh mythology is Rhiannon. The name Rhiannon translates to Great Queen or Divine Feminine in the Welsh language. She played a number of roles familiar to Celtic mythology: the otherworldly mistress, the calumniated wife, and finally the sovereign queen. Rhiannon has often been compared to the goddess Dea Matrona, the Great Mother, and to Epona, the Gaulish horse goddess found throughout Celtic Europe. Whether or not Rhiannon's story has direct correlation to these other Celtic goddesses is up for debate. But the myth of Rhiannon represents the transitional point from the pagan rituals of the horse goddess cult to its sublimated form, the chivalric mysteries of courtly love. Rhiannon's role in the Mabinogion comes in the first branch, during the tale of Pwyll. Pwyll, the lord of the kingdom Dyfed, was out riding when he saw before him a woman of breathtaking beauty, dressed in gold, slowly and regally riding a mare as pure and white as fresh snow. He tried in vain to catch up with her, but no matter how fast he and his servants rode, they could never reach her. Yet in a baffling turn, she never appeared to increase her slow, dignified pace. Finally, Pwyll called to her, and she stopped and let him catch up to her. When he inquired as to why he could not reach her before, she explained that it was because he had not asked. She introduced herself as Rhiannon, the daughter of Hen of the Otherworld. Rhiannon then went on to explain that she had been betrothed to another man against her will, and had fled to Pwyll in the hope that he would take her as his wife. And so it was that 12 months later, Rhiannon had married Pwyll, and came to live with him at his court, bringing precious gifts for all of his nobles. For the first 3 years of their marriage, they had no children, and people began to whisper, "What kind of woman is this Rhiannon? Arrived from out of nowhere, appeared to be healthy, yet produced no children after so long. Cursed," they said, "bewitched." And rumor began to spread that she was a sorceress, one whose intentions may not be so benevolent. The people of Dyfed, both noble and common, began to lay pressure on Pwyll to choose a new wife. But he refused. The day finally came when Rhiannon was with child, and 9 months later gave birth to a son. 3 nights later, on May Eve, servants appointed to keep watch over the newborn fell asleep, and awoke to find the child missing. Panic overcame them, and rather than explain what they could not and accept the blame, they killed a puppy and smeared its blood around the cradle and on the sleeping Rhiannon's mouth, in order to make it look like she had not only killed, but eaten her child, a doubly heinous crime. Despite being clearly innocent of this crime, Rhiannon was found guilty of infanticide. her husband imposed a strange but no less cruel punishment. He ordered Rhiannon to spend 7 years seated near the horse block by his gate, retelling her story to all who approached, and then carry them to court on her back as if she were a horse. As Rhiannon endured her unjust and peculiar sentence, strange events were transpiring at the house of Tiernan. Every May Eve, his beautiful mare would give birth to a foal that instantly vanished. In order to discover the culprit, Tiernan kept watch the night his mare went into labor. Just as the mare gave birth, a huge clawed hand reached through the window to grab the foal. Acting quickly, Tiernan hacked off the hand with his sword, saving the young horse. Screams were heard, but when Tiernan ran outside, there was nothing to be found. When he returned to the stable, he discovered a beautiful baby boy on the threshold. Tiernan and his wife adopted the baby, who quickly began demonstrating supernatural powers and an affinity for horses. In time, the child began to bear uncanny resemblance to Pwyll. Tiernan soon realized that his mysterious child was Pwyll and Rhiannon's son, not dead at all. He brought him to Pwyll's court and relayed the strange story to Dyfed's lord. The lost son was reunited with his parents. Rhiannon was exonerated and returned to the palace as queen, and she named her son Pryderi, a name that means care. Rhiannon later appears in a noticeably lesser role during the third branch of the Mabinogion, following the passing of Pwyll, and focusing on the exploits of their son Pryderi, who had since become the king of Dyfed. Rhiannon's role in the Mabinogion is interesting in that she is never the main character, yet her very presence affects every other character found within the first and third branches. And though she is never the main character, we are drawn to her. As a result, she is equal parts mysterious and enchanting to those who hear her stories. Outside of the Mabinogion, Rhiannon is less well known, compounding a suggestion that she was, after all, an essentially local figure. In recent years, Rhiannon has since become an increasingly popular neo-pagan goddess, associated with love and invoked for beauty, domestic happiness, and true love. She is petitioned to protect against disaster and humiliation, and to bring about prosperity and abundance. From bygone Celtic legends, to the pages of the Mabinogion, to modern-day neo-paganism, Rhiannon has since become a symbol for societal outcasts, the wrongfully accused, and the powers of feminine energy.